Are you one of the 75% of contractors whose financial statements are inaccurate? Find out. Click on the link in the show notes and you'll get a free P&L and balance sheet check.
This is Contractor Sense with Ruth King.
Welcome to Contractor Sense. Here you discover ideas, tactics, news, and information that matters to your contracting business and you. I'm your host, Ruth King. This episode is sponsored by Financially Fit Business. Get the business tool that makes your financial statements come alive, helps you grow profitably, build wealth, and significantly impact your life and the lives of your employees. Go to www.financiallyfit.business and get started today. Thank you for joining us. Here is how we will help your business and you. Last week, I gave you the 8 baseline questions you need to rocket your profits and do your moonshot. This week, I'll give you how to involve your team in achieving your moonshot. So let's get started. Well, you went through all the baseline questions. You know what your net profit per hour is. You know where you're going. Now, you can't do it alone. You absolutely have to have your team with you. The employees have to buy in. The employees have to want to do it. And it has to be a company goal and something that the company can do that will make it fun for everybody. And we think about it, and I call them your internal customers. So if you start thinking about your team members and the people who work with you, your employees, as your internal customers, they're the ones that you've got to, market to first. You've got to convince. And it's not the carrot and stick. It's not like, okay, if you don't do this, you're going to lose your job, because the job market these days is absolutely insane. You say that to a tech, they'll say, okay, I'll go get a job somewhere else. And they will. I mean, it's just what it is these days. The days of us having more people out there and not enough work are over. It's flipped. We've got the work now. We've got to find the people so that we can get the work. Back in the 90s, when I was still a young pup in this business, we would do marketing and then we'd find the people to be able to do the work. Now we find the people, then we do the marketing, because the labor issues have switched. Absolutely. So, let's look at this and let's look at it, what's in it for them? It becomes their goal if they help you in it. Think about what John F. Kennedy did. He basically rallied the country around a concept, a goal to be able to get us to the moon and back safely by the end of the decade. And I remember I was at camp that summer. It was July, whatever it was. They had a little black and white television that we all went into the what was it? I guess it was the theater. Yeah, it was the theater. And they put the little black and white television up on the stage, and we watched Neil Armstrong walk on the moon. And it was actually kind of cool. We actually did it. So it was something that everybody rallied around. What can you get? What do you want to do personally? And what can you rally everybody around so it becomes a company goal rather than necessarily just your goal? And what's in it for them? A lot of times now people want time off rather than additional money. Think about it. It's the end of summer or the end of winter and everybody's hot and tired, or everybody's cold and tired, because it's been either totally hot or totally cold. And they, the extra money, they're already working overtime. They'd like the time off. So what can you 10X and give them time off, depending upon what it is and whether they need the money or would prefer the time off. And sometimes you can do it both ways. So, think about that way. The fact is that, we look at it and most field personnel have more chance to make spiffs and commissions than the people in the office in a lot of cases. Some of the maintenance things, yeah, you can get a spiff on that, but what's really and truly going to get them? So my favorite thing to do is to have a profit sharing plan that everybody can participate in. And I do it based on net profit per hour. That's why we did the background first. Everybody has to understand net profit per hour and what's in it for them. All right. Think about it this way. Whenever we implement this, the first year it's like, ugh. And they don't believe you're going to do it, number one, because you've never done it before. Or the bonuses have been based totally on emotion and how you felt somebody did, rather than something that was easy to follow and easy to actually implement. And everybody understood how much they were going to get as a bonus based on what either profits or revenues were, rather than, okay, he did really well, or he didn't screw up this year, or she did really well and she didn't screw up this year. And looking at it from that perspective, make it black and white, make it numerical, and make it based on revenue and profits. The interesting part about making it on profits and revenues is the fact is everybody becomes driven to really and truly understand how they impact profitability of your company. Really easy for the guys in the field to do it, or the ladies in the field to do it. Yeah, I mean, we generate the revenue, but if we don't generate the revenue and we're not have enough billable hours, our profitability will be down. And they actually start getting it. The people in the office who are the support, i.e. their customers are the field people, so to speak, they look at it and say, okay, if they're not productive and we can't keep them productive, then our profitability will go down. Everybody understands how they profitably impact a customer, an external customer, not necessarily the internal customers. All right. So when we look at it and we start tracking that way, your company becomes very much more bottom line oriented. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. And I don't mean it to the exclusion of taking care of your customers. The key is to actually take care of your customers profitably. And to do that, you can't make somebody mad on the telephone because they'll go to somebody else. You have to take care of customers when they call in with complaints. The best thing you can do is have a complaining customer and turn them around into a raving fan. Those are the types of things that everybody has to understand. A customer is not a pain in the butt. A customer is somebody who writes their paycheck. So when you look at bonuses and doing bonuses this way, there's no more holiday bonuses. Everything is done, bonus. And then I think the IRS says they have to be paid within 6 weeks of the following year. So it's like February 15th or March 15th, whichever it is. And so Christmas time, there's no bonuses, and you have to tell everybody that. And then the bonuses come later on. And sometimes they can get very, very, very large, depending upon the good years and the bad years that your company has with respect to profitability. When I get back from break, and when we get back from break, I'm going to give you my formula for profitable bonus and handing out bonuses in a very structured and a very organized manner so that everybody understands what the bonus is, how they impact profitability. We'll be right back. Thanks for listening to Contractor Sense. Imagine you had total freedom. You didn't have to worry about money. You didn't have to be a slave to your business. The words, I can't, are eliminated from your vocabulary. What if you could do what you want to do, whenever you want to do it? A financially fit business could give you that freedom. How? By knowing what your financial statements are telling you and taking action based on what they say. You can do this in less than 10 minutes a month at an investment of less than taking your family out to dinner once a month. And if your financial statements are a mess, you can get help. Go to www.financiallyfit.business or click on the QR code below to get started today. We're back. Thanks for listening to Contractor Sense. Before the break, I gave you the reason for doing something structured with respect to bonuses. And it might be something that you can 10x, at least for a little while, and have some fun with it. So at the beginning of the year, you, as the owner, decide how much of the profits you'll distribute at the end of the fiscal year. Now, most of us these days have fiscal years that end December 31st. There are some still who have like March 31st or September 30th or June 30th. Whatever your fiscal year is where your bonus structure runs. All right. So of the profits that you have to keep at least 50% for growth, i.e. higher salaries, training costs, overhead costs, cost of living increases, whatever. Then you have to choose how much of the remaining 50% you will share. All right. You can also exclude the managers from the percentage you choose because, from my perspective, managers get paid on the profitability of their departments. So, for example, if a department does $1 million and they net $100,000, that's 10%. So 10% of $100,000 is $10,000. So their bonus is going to be $10,000, right? So they get the same percentage as the net profit of their department. So if the department generates $100,000 and they generate $150,000 in profit, that's 15%. And they get 15% of the 15%, or $22,500. You choose the percentages. It's fine. It's your company. It's your distribution of profits. But, figure out how much of that is actually going to happen in terms of profitability. You might just say, okay, we're only distributing 20%, or we'll distribute the percentage of the net operating profit from net profit per hour. All right. So think about how you actually want to do it. A lot of companies do it this way. They say, okay, we're going to distribute 1% of revenue, but the company has to be profitable to at least X net profit per hour for that 1% to be distributed. All right. So figure out what you want to do at the beginning of the year, how much of the profits you wanted to distribute. And let's assume that the profits are going to be $50,000 for the year, for the total profit pool. Every month, no, I'm going to make it $60,000 a year. Every month you put $5,000 in a savings account and you call it your bonus savings account. And you just do it every single month so that next year when you have to pay the bonuses out and it's February, oh gosh, I don't have the money. It's in the account already waiting. All right. So for managers who get their bonus based on the percentage of the department, and for salespeople who get their bonuses based on their commissions based on what they sell, they don't count in this bonus thing. All right. Everybody else. So here's the formula. So you have 1 year's salary, or how much their compensation for the year is, times the number of years that they have been employed. Or you can do it by months. It's probably better to do that. Divided by the sum of all employees, i.e. employee one's compensation times the number of years they've been there, plus employee two's compensation times the number of years. If you have 20, the denominator is 20 numbers. All right. So that's the percentage that this particular individual gets. And if let's say you're going to distribute $50,000 and a person's percentage is 0.01 or 1%, then 1% of 50,000 is $500. So that person gets a bonus of $500. The reason I do it both on annual compensation and longevity is the longer that somebody's there, they're becoming more and more and more loyal to you and the business and everything else like that. A really funny story that happened as a result of this. We started doing this with one of my clients and introduced it. And there was a guy who'd been there 18 years and he was the longest tenured employee. And as a result, his bonus was, higher than everybody else's who'd only been there like a couple of years, 3, 4, 5 years, or whatever else it is. And everybody's going, it's not fair. Well, he'd been there that long. When he retired or quit, I can't remember which he did, everybody cheered because the bonuses would then be more equally distributed to everybody else. You can choose to cap the bonus years if you'd like. At 10 or 15 years, that's fine. It's your bonus process and your bonus formula. I'm giving you some very easy ways to get it done. So, for example, if a person's salary is $20,000 a year and he's been employed for 4 years, the numerator is $80,000, 20,000 times 4. The denominator is the sum of all of the employees and the year times their years of employment. And let's assume that that is $1.6 million. So that employee's percentage is 80,000 divided by 1,600,000 or 5%. Then if the total amount distributed is $10,000, that employee receives 5% of the $10,000, or again, $500. I'm not making this $500 just to say it should be $500. I've had employees get thousands of dollars, depending upon how big the bonus pool is and how many employees are in your company. You have to also make sure that there's no misunderstanding that monies received are not holiday bonuses. They are profitability bonuses. All of the holiday bonuses have, for all intents and purposes, evaporated. Now, according to the tax experts, if you accrue the bonuses at the end of the year and you're on an accrual basis for tax reporting, you can deduct those payments as expenses in that fiscal year, even though the cash is not being distributed until the following year. If you're on a cash basis, you can't do that. Okay? I'm talking about for taxes. I'm not talking about for monthly operating expense, P&Ls and balance sheets. That should be on accrual. We're talking only about taxes here. So depending upon how you actually pay your taxes, whether you're paying on accrual or cash, depends upon when you actually, on a tax basis, can take the deduction for the bonuses. Okay. So to do this, you're going to have to teach your employees how profit is generated and give them the overviews monthly. They don't necessarily have to see the detailed financial statements, but don't be surprised if they start asking questions and going, hey, this person isn't profitable, or this is not a profitable procedure that we're using. We're wasting time, effort, energy, and money. It's amazing how much they will impact and give you ideas on how to increase profitability if they know that their bonuses are based on profitability. The really cool part about this is that the profit sharing plan has a tendency to weed out the unproductive employees. You won't have to kick them out. The employees themselves will kick them out simply because they are affecting their money and their bonus. So this is one way to make sure that you can have your employees help you achieve your moonshot. It might be fun to do. Try it out and go from there. So thank you for joining us. Choose one thing that you discovered and implement it in your business. These ideas, tactics, and strategies help you make more money, have more free time, and give back. If you like today's program, spread the word. Please review this podcast on any device you're listening to it on. Help a fellow contractor make more money too. For comments or questions, call me at 770-729-0258 or email Ruth King at hvacchannel.tv. Thanks for listening. Have a great and profitable day.